Beverley Knight, MBE, songwriter, actress, radio personality, sold over 1 million albums, won 3 MOBOs, an honorary award, doctoral award from the University of Westminster. That's me. We probably should give you one from the University of Wolverhampton. Yeah. Lifetime Achievement Award from the Urban Music Award. Mm-hmm. So you've been awarded, you've been recognised, you're special, but this is recognition of your achievements. So I just want to journey back to the beginning. We're both from the Midlands, by the way. You say, what does that mean?
Wolverhampton.
Wolverhampton. And I should be talking like with my Birmingham accent, really, but I'm not going to. So let's journey back to your early beginnings. You're a girl from the Midlands.
I am, yes.
And we were talking earlier, and like myself, I was bused to church on a Sunday, no choice. But your household was religious.
Very much
religious.
so.
Can you just give us a little insight to your brother, sister, your mom and dad, and their musicality?
Mum, Dolores, Dad, Edward, no longer with us, older sister, Cynthia, younger brother, Adrian, attention-seeking middle child was me. All around me was music. My dad had his own business as a builder. When he first came to the UK in '59, he was working in the factories like his brother, but he had an ambition to start my own business and building, and he did. And he would sing on the job. So everybody knew Edward because he was that builder that sang. You know, while he was working, you could hear him, you know, singing away, always hymns, some hymn, or please release me, let me go.
Reflection on the job.
Exactly. And mum, nurse, NHS, and she came from generations of music. The music actually comes down from mum's line. Her mum and mum's siblings sang, played instruments. Mum's grandma, my great-grandma McLean, multi-instrumentalist, sang, and I'm guessing even further back. So music was not just around me, but it was in me. It was in the blood, you know? It was part and parcel of me. So when I came out singing away, I was put straight to use in church.
But your elder sibling also played keyboard?
Synth would play and sing, and then, you know, the minute that I could make my fingers spread across the keys, then I'd be like, I want to play. So then I'd go up there and just figure stuff out. I'm pretty rubbish, but enough to write a song, so that was fine by me. And my brother followed me. It was just all there, somehow, at the fingertips.
Did you and your siblings actually perform together?
Not loads, because there's a gap between me and Adrian. I'm 5.5 years older than Adrian, and there's 10 years between Synth and Adrian. So me and Synth often did stuff together. Me and Synth were in the youth group, you know, them ones at church, the youth group. I used to meet on Friday night and we'd do all the performances. My brother was just too young, but we'd do all the plays and the, you know, little groups, and it was always, and Sister Beverley's going to lead us in song, and then, you know, but my sister and some others who would back me up, and that was my life.
So just in terms of, we have understanding of just how old you were at this point. Would this have been kind of 9, 10-ish? Or
yeah, when I first started to sing in church, I was about 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
Just because the mouth was big. you could hear me over everybody else. So it was like, oh, right, yes. So I was always encouraged to get on the pulpit and sing. When I first really started to perform and, do solos, I was about 9, 10, 11, around there. So I was young, but to my mind, it was completely normal.
And this is in front of the congregation?
This is in front of the congregation, but the congregation didn't hold any fear for me. People kind of looking at me. It was the most normal and natural place on earth, was to be stood on a pulpit, and that translated through to school as well, because I did the same at school.
Well, it's interesting, we were talking earlier and realised that actually what we're discussing needed a title. We came up with a title, which is the Book of Bev, right? So we're in the first chapter of the Book of Bev, and we'll see how many chapters we get through. So if we move, I'm just curious before we leave the church at this stage, because we get back there.
Yeah.
In terms of musical influences in the family, these are other artists and so forth. I'm just curious to what was the music in the household? What was being listened to? What was permitted listening?
That's the word. What was permitted? Well, on the record player, Sam Cooke ruled supreme on a Sunday. But we had this album called The Two Sides of Sam Cooke. You can still get it today. And side A was You Send Me and Chain Gang and all these wonderful Sam Cooke songs. Side B got rinsed at home. It was Jesus Gave Me Water. It was Touch the Hem of His Garment. It was The Last Mile of the Way. These were the songs that I heard. So I didn't know Sam Cooke was a pop singer. I had no clue. All I knew was Sam Cooke sang like an absolute dream, and he was singing Jesus Gave Me Water. So I'd hear that. I'd hear, this will make you laugh. So we had a few vinyls that had come from churches in Jamaica. So they'd recorded the congregation. Me, always so bad mind. Me and my sister, and then latterly my brother, but also my cousins. When I come down to London, we'd basically take the mick out of these recordings because they're singing with these big, thick Jamaican accents. And we just had the joy. I mean, the music was great, but to hear that music with the thick Jamaican accents, we were like, yeah. We just loved it. So we had a lot of gospel, but we also had a lot of country music. So we had Jim Reeves. Every Jamaican's like, yeah.
Well, what people don't realise, let me
Reeves.
just interject here. Up until 1987, country music was the most played music in Jamaica across all the stations. People don't realise that. That was the bedrock and the reference for most early reggae as well.
Working music. It was the working person's music. It told the stories of the everyday folk. And so, that's what we played. So it was Hank Williams and, the aforementioned Jim Reeves and, people like that. So country and gospel, we heard loads in the house. But of course, there's the radio. So every minute, Dad would be like, put on the news, put on the news. I'd be like, don't want to listen to the news. I want to listen to the top 40. But so I would get the radio out of Mum and Dad's room, put it in our room, and of course it had the little tape thing, and get the little rubbish little microphone, and me and my sister would tape ourselves singing along, and so the whole world opened because of radio.
But what was so we're now beginning of the 80s, 1980.
Yes. Yeah.
Who are your artists? Who are you into at this point?
So, Shalimar, oh my God. Earth, Wind and Fire. who else at that time? It would have been Jocelyn Brown singing somebody else's guy. Yeah, those early kind of artists of the 80s, when soul music kind of got more synthesized and stopped being so live, that coincided
It's also
with
dance
me.
music.
Yeah, it became much more danceable. That coincided with me nicking the radio. So
I'm curious.
Yeah.
As a Midlands person,
Yeah.
someone from north of Watford,
Yeah.
how comes you? Where's the reggae in this story? Where is?
So the reggae featured,
Yeah.
and I'm glad you asked, because of course the Midlands retained its hold on reggae, right, really did. Mum and Dad's friends would play a lot of reggae, so they'd come round when we were tiny. So, you know, late 70s spilling into the very early 80s, Mum and Dad's friends would come round and they would play reggae in the house. But Mum, particularly Mum, because she was so Christian, Pentecostal, you have to imagine this is a denomination where what is written in the Bible is the word of God, and nothing is changed, you know. So, you know, we weren't supposed to be listening to music that was not edifying the Lord, even though it came from, you know, JA. So, but we'd hear it, you know, from mum's friends.
But here's the thing. So radio is how, if you like, secular music enters that environment.
Very much so.
What was your first purchase where you felt, this is what I'm into, this is the music I want, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to have it, I'm going to listen to it?
So this sounds so like you'd expect this answer, but it's true, and it just goes to how ubiquitous this record was. But me and my sister, we both went up to our price, and we got Thriller and Off the Wall, and we had to have them. It was all about Thriller at the time, but then we got Off the Wall as well. But Thriller was not just an album, it was a phenomenon. And it just moved the dial so much on music. We just had to have it, we had to own it, we had to possess it. And so, yeah, that was the first thing we went and bought, and absolutely destroyed that cassette. And it was on cassette because we were never going to be able to get it on vinyl and have it played in the house downstairs and Mum and Dad hearing it.
Because I'm trying to find
cassette.
I'm trying to find the Rebel, the Bev Rebel. And so far, you're a good girl.
I was a good girl. I was a pretty good. I would test what I would do to test boundaries was always, but why? But why can't I listen? But what's wrong with that? But you know, why can't I do it? That I would always. My sister was a good girl. I
can't imagine. Hold on, let me stop you there. You haven't done anything yet. That's bad. But
No.
your sister was a good girl, so.
But in a fundamentalist Christian household, any kind of questioning or dissent is rebellion.
Okay, let's take you out of the house. You're studious at school.
Very studious. Oh my God, I still am. Right, nerd.
And you get to university.
Yeah.
Tell us about the subject you decided to take on.
So uni was, for me, brilliant. I really wanted to learn. So bookish. So and why my mate down the road who I went to school with, you know, would worship or revere the Prophet Muhammad, and my teacher who, you know, would revere Yahweh, and then I had my best friend who would go to temple, you know, being a Hindu, and then Wolverhampton's got a massive Sikh community, so, you know, we'd go to worship with them sometimes, just to see, and all these things just swirled around my head, and I was like, I want to get to understand. And then the biggest group of people who I studied with were all atheists.
I was wondering where you're going with this.
All of them were atheists. It's quite funny.
So, would we be in chapter 2 of the book of Bev at this moment? We've moved out of church, we're in university.
Yeah.
So, we're moving towards you, if you like, finding yourself, or music finding you in a way that you couldn't resist. And I'm just curious to what happened. There's something happened in the university period where you moved towards your first band, your first, I think, idea of being the artist. Something happened around finishing your studies and deciding where you're going to go next.
So, as a child, I had the clear idea that I was going to sing. I was going to be on top of the pops, and I was going to sing, and that was what I was going to do. And nothing and no one could dissuade me. I hadn't got a clue how it was going to happen, but it was going to happen, and I just believed it because I told myself, and that was that. But what did happen was just as I was just about to start uni, I was singing in a club in Wolverhampton. I was opening for a guy called Sinclair, who had a hit at the time called Casanova. This is 91, around there. And he came over, he was doing this PA. I came on, did my little bit as the local talent opening for him. And the A&R man who was looking after him at the time approached me and said, I'd be really interested in signing you. And my response was, I'm going to uni and I really wanted to go. I think I'm good. If you think I'm good, you'll wait.
See, you might think this lady's not a diva, but...
I knew what I knew, what I knew. Do you know what I mean? I knew that if I could just get to uni, do my studies, I would be the kind of artist that I wanted to be at the end of it, because I didn't want to be dumb. I didn't want to be regarded as dumb either.
Well, you're not. There's no fear of that at all. I think what's interesting in chapter 2 in the book of Bev, which is where we are at the moment, is that you've already identified where you want to be, identified what you don't want to do, identified your own power in saying, look, which doesn't happen very often with artists in the industry, that says, look, if you want me, you will wait. If a record comes knocking, most artists opens the door and lets them in. You ask them to wait. So this is, I think, as we move forward, a really important point in your career where if you've not realized it, you already found yourself, found your power, and you're exercising your power. But by 95, if I'm right, you're already recognized as the songstress in the middle of Brit funk.
Which was, and it happened quite by accident. At the tail end of 94, I go into the studio with Neville Thomas and Poulet Peto, 2B3, and the record label that I was signed to at the time, Dome Records, just wanted me to just see how I was going to get on. So they put me writing with these lads, and we write a couple of songs, one of which is a song called Flavour of the Old School, put it out, white label. I didn't even know what a white label was. I knew nothing about nothing. Put out white label, I'm still studying. I'm at the final year of uni, still studying. And the thing blows up. It just goes crazy in the clubs. So now I'm in a situation where I'm writing this dissertation on churches, sects and cults of 20th century Britain. Oh, and you've got to write an album, because everybody's like, where's the album? Where's the album? Where's single number 2? Where's the album? The thing just took up, so I'm running to catch up with my own life in a way.
What's interesting about that is the various subjects that you're covering, and you just covered life, basically. What's interesting about that is how it reappears. So central to that is studying what you do, studying in order to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I'm just going to jump forward in time.
Yeah.
In terms of studying. I'm curious about this move, we are chapter 2, chapter 3, where we're looking at Bev doing what she wants to do. We've already recognized that from the age of 4 through to performing, brothers and sisters, university, record company, yo, wait. Now you're in the middle of Brit Funk and you're recognized. But jumping forward onto stage is something, or performing is something you've always done.
Yeah.
So it's not new. So just take us up to the point where you're first on stage. It's not necessarily singing, it's acting.
Yeah,
Performing.
so I had done drama from about age 5, 6, at school principally. Every school performance, every school, everything. You know, I was always wheel out Bev to come and do all the singing bits, get Bev to do it. Controversially, I played Sandy in Grease, and people were like, you can't play Sandy in Grease because you can't play Sandy in Grease. Well, I can and I did. Good. Yeah, I was also part of Wolverhampton Youth Theatre, so I would spend my summers performing, you know, Mikado and West Side Story, and if you gave me a stage, I'm happy, absolutely happy, and I've been doing that for years.
But you also carry that academic learning with you.
Yeah.
And you study for the parts. And I just want to bring people forward in time to say Memphis.
Yeah.
And the challenge of taking on first the part. And then I'd just like you to explain to folks who don't know what Memphis was about. But essentially, the trip to Deep South, the Deep South, Tennessee, and looking at the, I suppose, black culture from another perspective, from Wolverhampton, let's say, from London, and just take us through that experience.
So the musical Memphis was a show that was set in 1955. This is when rock and roll is, you know, about to absolutely explode. It started in Beale Street, it's set in Beale Street, in a club, owned by a guy who's got a younger sister who just wants to sing, and she wants to be this great singer. I played that role, Felicia Farrell. She ends up having a relationship, much to everybody's horror, including her brother, with a young guy who is white. He's from the other side of town. He keeps coming to Beale Street to hear the music and decides, this is what I want to do. I want to be a DJ. I want to play this music and take it to the masses. And this relationship obviously, you know, snowballs into a whole series of craziness that happens. This is Memphis. This is the Deep South. I, as a black woman, understood cerebrally and vicariously the experiences of African Americans, but that was, it stopped at a certain point, because whilst in Britain we had discrimination, terrible discrimination growing up, and you know what my parents went through, then what my generation went through, what I went through, it was not on a scale that they had in the US, because that was actually law, you know, Jim Crow being law. That's a whole different trip, this whole separate but equal bollocks. It doesn't exist. You know, that was what they lived day to day. So I had to put myself in a position where I was a young black woman in a country that would kill me, not only for daring to step out of the prescribed box that was put for me, but then to do it with some white lad. So I had to be there. I flew to Memphis. I went to Beale Street, ended up singing on Beale Street, which was like at B.B. King's Club. Oh my God. And immersed myself as much as I could in the culture, in the history. I went to the Lorraine Motel where Martin Luther King was murdered. You know, I walked down the street where black people protested, and white people, with banners saying, "I am a man," you know, those famous placards that people held. I went to Soulsville. I went to see Stax. I recorded at Royal Studios, where High Records was based, Al Green and Peebles. I just surrounded myself in the culture as much as I could.
I'm just curious, because that's a wonderful experience, but
yeah,
it's also a baptism by fire.
It really was. It really was. My God.
I'm just curious, emotionally, if there was one thing, if there could be one thing that you took away from that, because you're bringing this back to then perform.
Yeah.
So it's about you emotionally. What would that emotional content be that if you said I have to sum it up, what I came away with, if at all possible, from the American black experience then?
I thought to myself, I know it's been tough over here. I know that. But it's tougher still for people over there because they had the law to fight at every single turn. The law dictated, you know, absolutely everything in a way that it was much more insidious over here and, you know, not controlled by law, but you could get round things. You know, I grew up in a diverse area. I had black friends, white friends, Asian friends. I took away from that just didn't exist over there. So the richness of experiences that I was able to have just because I was British did not exist in the US. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart. So I had to bring that heartbreak and infuse it into my being so that I was able to stand on the stage and really deliver those songs and those experiences.
I mean, that's really powerful. Really powerful. Thank you for that. I think we should take it down a notch. Just, I didn't know you were into cars. At one point.
That's so like cars.
And even taking cars onto the track and driving. This is racetrack. I think it was your Audi 7 from memory.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, you've done a deep dive, haven't you?
I've been checking you out. Yeah. What is that fascination all about? I'm just curious. I'm into cars. And by the way, I should invite you to the Afro-Caribbean Car Club. It's insane.
That sounds good to me.
It's insane. But anyway, yeah, what's your fascination with cars?
I like things that go very quickly. That's it. Roller coasters, cars, planes. I always wanted to go on Concorde. It never happened. Yeah, what is that? I feel the need for speed. That's me. I just love things that go. And the idea of, especially when they're low to the ground, you know, supercar, and just, oh my God, it's the best feeling ever. Okay. It's just brilliant.
supercar, super Bev. I think we've got to that point where we have to wrap up.
Already?
Already. You'd be surprised. It's been 30 minutes.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God.
It's been 30 minutes. You sound like you want to continue.
I do.
Do you want her to continue?
I've only really got into...
She can't. I'm so sorry. That's.
Oh my God.
That's the end of the talk.
Oh my God.
Is there anything you'd like to say as we close? I mean, what are you up to next? Let's end on that.
Okay, so album's out. Tour in 2 weeks. And then next year is theatre. I've got a number of scripts which take me from the stage to the screen. So there's the diversification just continues. And I think if I could leave you with anything, it's people will always say, this is who you are, this is the box in which you fit. I get it, I understand. No, because the sides of that box, frankly, are elastic and you can push them as far as you want. There is no defining wall at which you kind of run up to and then that's it and that's the end of it and that is as far as you can go. No, 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 no. If you have the idea in your mind, I want to put out a rock song like I did
I was going to say
2004, 4, then do it. If that's in your spirit, do it. And don't worry about what anybody else is going to do. The world turns round to where you are at. So being bold and doing things for the first time is scary, but you can do it. You can, because there's no law and there's no rule book and there's no anything that says because you are female, because you are black, because you're from the Midlands and you've got this accent or whatever, that you should only sound like this, look like this, and be defined in this particular way. It doesn't exist because, especially as a black, as someone from, a black community, one of several, we're always told, and black people like this, and they do that, and they listen to this. We're not a monolith. We are not a monolith. There are endless definitions of who we are and what we are, and that applies to all races. And embrace them all. Do whatever it is you want to do.
I want to say a big thank you from Sister Bev, who was talking from the Book of Bev. I think we got to chapter 6. Tune in. There will be other chapters.
Yes, there will. The book continues. It's like a Stephen King novel. It's going to be that thick.
Thank you again, Bev.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
This was Beverley Knight. Thank you.
Thank you.